Okay, I'm about to say something that's going to sound wrong. Walking is not the best exercise for you anymore. I know what that sounds like. You've been told your whole life, get your steps in 30 minutes a day, walking is all you need to stay healthy. And look, I'm not here to tell you walking is bad. It's not. But that advice was built for a different version of your body, the one you had at 40. And the body you're living in now, after 60, has a completely different set of needs that walking on its own just doesn't meet. Here's the thing. After 60, the single biggest threat to your health, your independence, how your day actually feels when you wake up in the morning, it's not your heart, it's your muscles. And walking does almost nothing to protect them. There is one specific chair-based exercise, surgeon approved. No gym, no equipment, no getting down on the floor. You can do it in your living room right now. And it directly targets the biological process that walking completely skips over. Once you understand the science behind why this works and why it matters so much at your age specifically, you're going to look at your daily routine very differently. Here's what we're covering. What's actually happening in your body after 60 that makes this so urgent. How this one exercise works in a way that walking simply can't. And exactly how to start. Even if you haven't exercised seriously in years, you don't need to be fit to do this. That is literally the point. Let's get into it. So let's talk about what's actually happening inside your body right now. Because there's a process going on, quietly, without any obvious symptoms, that most people over 60 have no idea is even occurring, and by the time they notice it, it's already been happening for years. It's called sarcopenia. That's the medical term for age-related muscle loss. And here's what you need to understand about it. Starting around your mid-30s, your body begins losing muscle mass. Slowly at first, maybe 3 to 5% per decade. You don't really feel it. Life goes on, but then you hit 60, and the rate accelerates significantly. We're talking up to 1 to 2% of your muscle mass gone every single year if you're not actively doing something to stop it. Now let me put that in terms you can actually feel. That's not just about looking less toned. Muscle is the engine that runs everything. Your metabolism, your balance, your ability to get up off the floor if you fall, your bone density, your blood sugar regulation, all of it runs on muscle. When you lose it, all of those systems start to quietly break down at the same time. And walking, as good as it is for your cardiovascular health, for your mood, for circulation, walking is what's called a low-resistance activity. Your muscles are not being challenged enough to grow or even maintain. You're essentially maintaining your aerobic fitness while your muscular foundation quietly erodes underneath you. It's like keeping the paint fresh on a house while the foundation is cracking. There's a consensus paper published in the journal Age and Aging that looked at sarcopenia across thousands of older adults. What they found was striking. Low muscle mass and low muscle strength together were strongly associated with falls, fractures, hospitalization, and loss of independent living. Not just weakness, loss of independence. That's the real stakes here. And this is the part I need you to really sit with for a second. Because I don't think most people understand what this actually looks like in real life. This isn't just about feeling weaker. This is about 10 years from now, maybe sooner, not being able to get up from the couch without help, not being able to carry your own groceries, not being able to play on the floor with your grandkids because you don't trust your legs to get you back up. This is how people go from independent to dependent. Not from one big event, from years of gradual, preventable muscle loss that nobody told them was happening. I've seen it. It doesn't announce itself. It just slowly takes things away from you until one day you realize the list of things you can't do anymore is longer than the list of things you can. It doesn't have to go that way, but it will if the only thing in your exercise routine is walking. So, let's talk about the exercise that actually changes this. The exercise is called the chair stand, or if you want the clinical name, the sit to stand. And before you think that sounds too simple to actually matter, stay with me here. Because the simplicity is deceptive. What's happening inside your body when you do this correctly is anything but simple. Here's the mechanics. You sit in a regular chair, no wheels, something stable, feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart. Arms crossed over your chest or extended straight out in front of you. And then you stand up, fully upright. Then you sit back down slowly, and this is the part most people rush through, slowly, under control, and you repeat that. That's it. That is the exercise. Now let me explain why this is so powerful. When you lower yourself back into that chair slowly, that slow, controlled descent, your muscles are doing something called an eccentric contraction. They're lengthening under load. And eccentric contractions are, pound for pound, the most effective stimulus for rebuilding muscle tissue that exists. More effective than the lifting phase. More effective than most things you can do in a gym. Your quadriceps, your glutes, your hamstrings, the biggest, most metabolically important muscles in your entire body are being forced to work hard just to manage your own body weight. No dumbbells, no machines, just gravity and control. Actually, let me be more precise about that. It's not just about rebuilding muscle. It's about rebuilding the right muscle. The muscles you're training with this movement are exactly the ones that prevent falls. Exactly the ones that let you stand up from a toilet without grabbing the wall. Exactly the ones that are first to go with sarcopenia. This exercise targets the deficit directly, and the research on this specific movement for older adults is genuinely impressive. A study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society looked at older adults who incorporated regular sit-to-stand training and found significant improvements in leg strength, balance, and functional mobility. The kind of mobility that predicts whether someone stays independent or doesn't. The gains showed up in as little as 8 weeks. 8 weeks, that's 2 months. Most people spend longer than that thinking about starting to exercise. Now here's what makes this truly different from walking. Walking keeps your muscles operating in a very narrow range of effort. It's rhythmic, it's low load, your body adapts to it quickly, and then essentially coasts. The sit-to-stand forces your muscles to handle a real load, your entire body weight, through a full range of motion, repeatedly. Every single rep is a signal to your body that says, we need muscle here. Keep it. Build more of it. Walking never sends that signal, not with enough intensity to matter. And the joint safety piece. This is why surgeons specifically endorse this movement. Because unlike squats, unlike lunges, unlike anything that starts from a standing position, the chair stand has a built-in safety net. If your legs give out, you're already over the chair. You sit down, nothing happens. That's not a small thing. For someone with knee concerns, hip concerns, balance issues, that built-in safety net is the difference between doing the exercise and not doing it at all, which means more people actually do it, and that matters more than anything. So now let's talk about how much to do and how often. Because the movement itself is simple, but the protocol is what determines whether you actually get results. Start with 5 reps. That's it. If you haven't been exercising regularly, 5 slow, controlled reps is enough to start sending that muscle-building signal. Sit all the way down, fully into the chair, don't hover, then stand all the way up, fully straight, and then the key part, lower yourself back down in about 3 to 4 seconds. Count it out loud if you need to. 1, 2, 3, sit. That slow lowering phase is where most of the magic happens. Don't rush it. Do 2 sets of 5 with about a minute of rest in between, 3 times a week. That's your starting point. Not every day, your muscles need recovery time, especially when you're rebuilding. Every other day is the sweet spot. Now here's where I want to address something I hear constantly, and I mean constantly. People come to me and say, I tried this, or I tried something like this, and I just don't feel like it's doing anything. And when I ask them to show me how they're doing it, they're rushing the lowering phase every single time. They stand up slowly, which is actually the easier part, and then they basically drop back into the chair. That's backwards. The lowering is the work. If you're not controlling the descent, you're leaving probably 60 to 70% of the benefit on the table. Slow it down. Feel your legs working. That slight burning sensation in your thighs as you lower yourself, that's the eccentric contraction doing its job. That's the signal. You want that feeling. And this is where it gets interesting, because the benefits extend well beyond just the muscles themselves. There's research out of the University of Sydney, published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, that looked at the impact of resistance-based exercise on older adults and found that it significantly reduced the risk of falls by about 34%, compared to those who didn't do any resistance training. Falls are the #1 cause of injury-related death in people over 65, a 34% reduction. That's not a small number. That's the difference between a normal Tuesday and a hospital visit that changes everything. And that connects to something I want you to understand about bone density. Because muscle and bone are more connected than most people realize. When your muscles contract against resistance, especially in that slow, loaded lowering phase, they pull on the bone. That pulling is a mechanical signal that tells your bones to stay strong and dense. Walking does some of this, but at a much lower load. The sit to stand, done slowly with your full body weight, delivers a substantially stronger signal to the bone, especially in the hip and femur, which are exactly where fractures happen that derail people's lives completely. I had someone tell me recently they'd been doing this for about 6 weeks, and they said, I didn't expect to notice a difference this fast, but I got up from the dinner table last night and I just stood up. I didn't think about it. I didn't grab the table. I just stood up. And for someone who'd been bracing themselves every time they got out of a chair for 2 years, that moment, that was everything. That's what this is about. Not a number on a scale, not a fitness milestone, just being able to move through your own life without bracing for it. So with that in mind, let's talk about how you progress, because starting at 5 reps is the right move, but you're not going to stay at 5 reps forever. And knowing when and how to advance is the part that keeps this working long term. Once 5 reps per set starts to feel manageable, and I mean genuinely manageable, not just survivable, you bump it up. Not by adding weight, not by changing the exercise. Just add 1 rep per set, go from 5 to 6. Do that for a week or 2, then 7, then 8. Work your way up to 10 reps per set over the course of a month or 2. That's it. 2 sets of 10, 3 times a week. That is a genuinely effective resistance training program for maintaining and rebuilding muscle after 60. Simple as that. And when 10 reps starts feeling easy, there are 2 ways to progress. First, you can slow the lowering phase down even further. Go from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. That increases the difficulty significantly without changing anything else. Second, and this is for when you're ready, not before, you can try a single leg variation. Same movement, but you extend 1 foot slightly off the floor so that 1 leg is doing the majority of the work. That's an advanced version. Don't rush to it, but it's there when you're ready. One more thing before we wrap, and it connects directly to everything we've just covered. The sit to stand sends the signal to your muscles to grow and hold on, but your body can only act on that signal if it has the raw material, and that raw material is protein. If you're over 60 and you're not making a conscious effort to get a real source of protein at every meal, eggs, fish, chicken, Greek yogurt, you're doing the exercise but leaving half the results on the table. The 2 work together. That's all I'll say on that. Okay, so here's where we land. Sarcopenia is real. It's quiet, and walking alone isn't enough to stop it. The chair stand, done slowly, 3 times a week, goes straight at the problem. It rebuilds the muscles that keep you upright. It protects your joints. It cuts your fall risk. And you can start right now in your living room with no equipment whatsoever. 5 reps, 2 sets, 3 days a week. That's your whole starting point. You know what to do. The question is whether you're going to do it. Start today. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not when things calm down. Today. Because every week you wait is another week of muscle loss you're not getting back. And you deserve better than that. If this was helpful, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Drop a comment below and tell me, are you going to try this today? I read them, and I'll see you in the next one.